Hey everybody, I know it's been a while since I posted anything and just want to give an update. I was waiting for a while to get an adapter for the fuel tank. Ended up just having to sort the issue myself. The machine shop had it for 3 weeks and didn't produce the product that I needed, and I just figured it out on my own. But got a few things I want to update you on real quick. A lot of progress has been made, so let's just check it out real quick. So the instrument panel, auxiliary stuff over there on the right for all the accessories, so bilge, nav lights, the blower motor, and a 12-volt source up on the dash there. All the electrical panel and stuff's there. The cable that runs up to the dash and everything, I've just got it temporarily zip tied right there. I'm gonna get some heavy duty wire loom to put on here. Probably zip tie it and kind of hang it right here. It's not really the most optimal thing for that, but there's just really nowhere to really run it. I couldn't really mount it up here, so that's really, I'm just gonna have to zip tie it and kind of put it in place over here, or maybe underneath here still, but I want to have wire loom at least over here so it's not making any kind of abrasions there through the tape and onto the wires. But all that turned out pretty good, nice and neat. I did put this kind of like finger trap, kind of like, you know, braided kind of wire loom for the wires on that. I thought it would just make it look a little nicer. So the motor is in. I did end up having to do a little bit of fiberglass work. So the motor had to be moved about 1/2 of an inch more forward to 3/4 of an inch more forward than what it would normally be, just because the PTO extends pretty far out, and the crankshaft on these newer motors is a little bit longer in the threaded end, which makes the PTO a different size. And then the jet skis, they just shorten the drive shaft, but since there's no different drive shaft for this boat, I had to just move the motor forward. To do that, what I had to do is the front motor mount, I had to channel that hole out, move it back some, just grooved it out. Basically, it has a slot on it that allows me to slide it back and forth, and I had to grind out some of the material on the inside of the motor mount. There's a stud that kind of comes out that was preventing the bracket to be able to slide more forward onto it. It was hitting the rubber and causing everything to move forward. So just grinded that down, repainted everything on that. And then for the rear motor mounts, what I ended up going with, I used the old ones off of the older motors. The older motors had a lot more material on the back mount, and they had a singular hole drilled through it. The thing was, though, right where the washer is normally supposed to be is kind of raised up. So what I had to do is kind of get a small belt sander, sand all that flat, get a little bit shorter of a bolt because I took that material off, so the factory bolts won't screw into that. So these are a little bit shorter. I think the factory ones are like a 30 millimeter. Those are 25 that I have in there now. And you can see I've got a lot more room to slide back and forth on it. But like I said, I had to channel out the hole here a little bit. I went a little more than what I really needed, just to make sure. I didn't want to, you know, cut it close or anything, but channeled that out. I'm not going to worry about painting it. I mean, it's just is what it is. I highly doubt I'm going to be able to find a paint color that's really going to match that. Maybe I can, maybe some eggshell white and a spray can and kind of dab it on there. I don't know. Can't really see it that much. Not really too worried about that. The supercharger is in. And as you guys can see, let me move this out of the way. This supercharger sits extremely close to the floating ring. So this is a newer style PTO, or not PTO, but a carbon seal boot that has the steel enforcement rings on it. But if any of you guys have ever seen these, they have a really large rubber lip on the front of them that's supposed to keep carbon dust and everything out. But unfortunately, because this motor has to, this area where the drive shaft comes through the hull, and the carbon seal and everything sits really close to the supercharger. So I just had to cut that off, and now it kind of looks like one of the older style boots, but that's okay because I don't mind the boot being like that. I can get anti-corrosion spray in there and keep it clean, and I can look and see how worn out the carbon seal starts to get. I've got a catch can on there, air intake. I did want to see if I could run maybe one of the Riva air intakes that would run up over the intake manifold, but obviously not going to be able to do that. Simply just not enough room to do it. Maybe if I get the dimensions from them, I can do it, but I really don't think I'm gonna worry about it. Probably just run like that, or maybe even just run the factory intake back over the top here with no filter on it. We'll see how I wanna do that. So let's go up here. Let's see, what else was I gonna show you guys? Oh yeah, the motor mounts and why I did what I did with those. So as you can see on these, they're open on that side. And you can see how I needed that extra material where that bolt ends up going to. So the only way you would be able to use one of these is if you did put a spacer in between the block and move this further back. You can use these, that's fine, but you would have to put a spacer in it. And I honestly just didn't really like using the spacer. I couldn't get the size of bolt that I really felt comfortable that had enough threads to go through there. You know, you can use these, you know, maybe you could grind it down and put a bigger washer and everything on it, but I don't really like, you know, putting some big old fender washer on there. I didn't really want to have to do that, but had the older style brackets laying around, so why not just use that. Now the next things that are going on, I've got new billet buttons. So this is a start stop switch. This one's for the BRP Connect button as well. So this will be just like on a ski. So I've got you know, the BRP Connect start over there. The desk post is there. To be able to get the larger desk post, you can see how much larger those are. I did have to grind out some of the hole. Doesn't look very pretty. Don't really give a shit because it's going to be covered up. Let's move this out of the way. You can see I've got quick connects for the start button and the BRP Connect, and I, you know, flip the connectors so there's no mistaking which one goes to which whenever you unplug it in the future. I've got all the wires ran for the blower, the bilge, and the nav lights here. All the connectors and stuff for the start stop. These are going to be going out to the trim and menu buttons, and I put some of that nicer wire loom on it since those are going to be exposed and going to be on the steering wheel. We can see here that I've now got the new style pump adapted onto the old style fuel tank. So what I ended up doing is just taking this metal ring that comes from Mini-Jet, that's essentially supposed to be a weld-in ring for aluminum tanks. But what I did is I just drilled holes in it and countersunk it. There's not a whole lot of material to do on here. So it does get really kind of close to the edge. I actually didn't drill the holes. The machine shop did them, and he got too close to the edge. I didn't have enough time to wait on another one of these to come in, but it is more than enough torque. I just got a piece of rubber here, made a gasket, cut it out to 7 inches outside diameter, bolted everything down to it, and then cut the center out. And then underneath on the inside is a flanged 5mm nylon inserted nut. So it's got plenty of torque down on that. It's gonna seal up pretty well. Made sure that I had enough slack for this to go in here. One thing I did have to do is bend the pump float arm inside of there to be able to get it to fit inside of the tank in the correct orientation, to be able to get this rotated more forward, to be able to get the connectors onto it. The fuel line is going to be perfect. The fuel line is actually extremely long. I'm going to have to cut this down quite a bit. Otherwise, I'm just going to have a lot of excess. So need to put a new clamp on there. And then let me see what else we got going on here. Did have to extend the ground wire for the radio. Extend that to go over to the block. Let's see what else we got going on. I still have to mount the GPS module. I'm just gonna get some wood screws, drill out holes, boom, mount it right there. And then the amp, I've got some aluminum bar stock. It's L-shaped, 3/4 inch, 1/16 thick. And I'm just gonna, you know, make 2 little L brackets, screw it into that. And I don't know if I'm just gonna like 5200 them down or I'm gonna actually use like wood screws to go through the fiberglass. I kind of don't want to have this just like glued down in a place like that. I'm kind of thinking maybe put the amp, put that out of the way. Sorry about that. Really thinking about setting the amp like this. And that way I've got access to it from either side. It'll sit out a little bit further because of the bar stock for it, but I think the amp mounted right there might be a good location for it to be. Let's see what else we've got. Still have to make speaker wires. So I got to cut these, extend these out to go to the speakers. I'm unable to use the factory speakers because they just simply will not fit in there. They're way too large. So I've got some little cheap Clarions in there. I'm going to be going with some JL Audio M3s, and I just want to keep it very basic, just the 2 speakers. It's more than enough for me. I'm not a real big audiophile guy anymore. Let's see what we got here. The USB port. I've got this little DIN adapter here for like a car. I'm going to see if I can drill a hole and make that work. It may or may not. I'm not really sure exactly how I want to handle this just yet. I might end up having to go from underneath, and then you just plug in the USB on the inside and plug it straight down. I'm not really sure just yet. It doesn't seem like I'm going to have enough material on the side here really to drill a hole for that to go through. But I wanted to make it basically an access pocket that I can still use the radio cover right here. And then, you know, if you need to charge a phone or something like that, you just plug it into it and close the door on it and you're good to go. Let's see if I'm missing anything else. Make sure this is out of here before it falls. It's for my 12-volt source. You can see here too, I've got the, on the bilge pump, I've got a more kind of braided harness for that. That's because that is actually running down through here, and it's going to go across over here. Probably going to take it and zip tie it up on the IBR module. The reason I did that is I wanted this, if I ever need to replace it, then I can just disconnect it, make a new connector for the new one, boom, connect it to that, good to go. I still need to run the auto bilge switch over to the battery, to the positive over here. I don't know if I'm going to go up this way and over and around, or if I'm just going to run it along the floor and just connect it to the battery right there. Haven't really decided just yet. Not too worried about that. I really just want to get it running for now. Still got to run the ground wire over to the battery for the neck filler cap. Put the filler back on, or filler hose back on. Bolt down the fuel tank. IBR is already done. The only thing I have to do is figure out the upper bracket for the Gen 3 IBR. That's essentially going to have a couple of holes that drill through right there, but the bracket is a perfect 90-degree angle, and as you can see, this hole kind of slants inside of the pump tunnel right there where I'm going to have to drill. So I'm going to have to heat it up, use like a hydraulic press or something like that to bend it in place. But yeah, made a lot of progression on that. Oh, one more thing. Let me go grab this real quick. I know this is a very real, raw kind of video, but I don't give a shit. I've been very busy with all this. So let's check this out, what we got here. So here are the new controls for the boat. These are the ones from the 2012 Speedster 150, and they use it on the Challenger 180 as well. So they actually went with these where it has like a lock to lock it in place in neutral. You have to just pull up on that. Once you're in drive, you can just pull it back into lock in neutral, hold it, pull it back into reverse. So you can see I've got my linkage system here set up. There's plastic washers in here to reduce any kind of wear on the aluminum bars that I've got. So you can see I've got good travel. It's kind of, let me actually drop it in here so it'll be easier. You got full travel on the throttle. And then for our reverse, around. I'm showing this in some of the groups, but I'm not really gonna be able to do it here because I don't have my stand for the phone. But so right now you can see I've got like a cable that's on here, and basically what this is for is because I have to push it in forward to be able to have control of the throttle, right? So I couldn't just have this on a direct link to the, I couldn't just have this on a direct link to here, right? So what I ended up having to do was make a cable for this, so when I go forward, it'll reduce all tension on this, like every bit of the tension. And then let me put the phone down and I'll show you what it looks like in neutral. So now you can see in neutral, there's still not any tension on it. It's almost there. And then whenever I bump it back into reverse, I'll show you that. You can see now that that is locked in place, just like if you were on a ski and you're holding the left trigger to put it in IDR, and then I have throttle control over here. So, and then it still has full throttle control just like on a ski. So pretty cool. I had to kind of come up with that. And then again, once you lock it back in neutral, now there's no tension on that switch whatsoever. And then, you know, when you're driving and it goes into drive, obviously, once you give it any gas whatsoever, if you let off the throttle, it doesn't put it back in neutral. You just bump the handle back and it'll just boom like that, just like if you were on the ski, and it'll drop it back into neutral. So that is pretty much all I got right now. I know that's a lot more than what it sounds like, but it's been a fun project for sure. Frustrating at times. There's a lot of stuff that I've had to kind of figure out along the way, but yeah, everything's going according to plan. I'm surprised the catch can is going to clear. The storage deck back here, I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, so today really the plan is to get the intake manifold on, get the exhaust manifold on, get all the coolant hoses and everything hooked up, wipe down the hull real good where I'd been stepping into it with my shoes and everything. Go ahead and put coolant in it and run down and go get a little bit of gas in it, and it should be able to fire up today. So yeah, whenever I go to do the initial startup, I'll make another video on that. But for now, that's all I got, guys. Take it easy.